Hi everybody, today I'm going to go over the guidelines for the A through Z assignment. So this document can be found in Google Classroom, and today I'm going to be showing you examples of how to find these letters at home or outside if you go for a walk. So here are the guidelines. First of all, I want you to shoot all the letters of the alphabet plus numbers 1 through 10. And if you find symbols like the question mark, hashtag, ampersand, please photograph those as well. I want you to try to shoot vertical. Vertical means straight up and down, so not this way, but this way. Be creative. Don't go for the obvious stuff. Just because a light pole looks like the letter I, it doesn't mean that that's going to be interesting to look at. Don't use letters that are, in signs or in labels. That's just too boring. Fill the frame. That means that you want to get very close to the object and make sure that the object takes up most of the room in the frame. Keep your background very simple, so you might have to change your angle as you're photographing so that there isn't a lot of stuff behind your letter. That's going to make it easier to see. Don't stage letters. So in other words, just because two pencils form the letter X, it doesn't mean that I want you to put two pencils together. Yes, I know that the toilet looks like a letter O, but nobody wants to look at that. So have fun, but you're not allowed to make letters. Now, if you have to move something out of the way in order for a letter to work better, that's okay. I'm not going to know. But it's a lot more fun if you try to find the letters instead of try to make the letters. Okay, next. Don't repeat a same photograph twice. Like, for example, the letter B also looks like the number 8, but you're not allowed to use the same photograph twice. If your phone or your Chromebook has the ability to turn your letters black and white, please do that. It's going to look a lot more uniform and easier to read if your letters are black and white. As you are photographing, remember the elements of art. Those are your shape, value, color, texture, pattern, repetition, positive and negative space, all of that stuff. Pay attention to it. For example, if you find a letter that has interesting texture, that's going to be a lot more, that's going to make a better picture than just, a crack on the sidewalk. If you have a letter that has very interesting shapes inside of it, that's going to be a lot more interesting than just two pencils crisscrossed together. So that's what that means. Remember, value is the shadows and the highlights. So if you're photographing something, try to find objects where they have dramatic lighting, right? Pay attention to color. Like if a letter stands out because it is red against a green background, that's going to work a lot better. Pay attention to patterns. If you find that a letter stands out in a pattern, or maybe your letter can be against a pattern of some kind, that's going to make it a lot more interesting to look at. So anyways, repetition also is another one. This is like when you find a shape inside a shape inside a shape. That is always interesting to look at. So try to use those elements of art as you are doing your hunting. Okay, tips. So keep your eyes open. Letters are everywhere. So as you start doing this assignment, you're going to notice that you're going to find letters all over the place. Keep your phone nearby. Make sure that your object is well lit. So if it's a little bit dark inside your house, open up the windows, turn on the light on your phone, turn on the lights in the house. And to be honest, the better lighting is going to be outside than inside. So this assignment will get you shooting outside. Your pets make wonderful letters. Pay attention to their ears, to their tails. Pay attention to what they're doing with their bodies. Cats make really great letters, and so do dogs. Try to make sure that you're focused when you're photographing. Blurry pictures don't make very good letters. Pay attention to contrast. Contrast means the difference between lightness and darkness. So for example, if you have a white cat, it's going to stand out more against a black background than it is against a gray background. So try to find objects that stand out because they are different from their surroundings. For example, a rough object is going to stand out better against a soft background. So pay attention to contrast because that's what makes your letter stand out. Uh, Another that's really important is change your angle. You're going to find that maybe in one direction it looks like a W, and then in the other direction it might be a letter V. Try going high, try going low. Sometimes you might have to lay down on the ground or climb on top of something, and that's going to change how the letter looks. Next, concentric shapes. This is when you have a shape inside a shape, and those make really fun letters. In the examples that I'll be showing you, there's a couple of concentric shapes. Next, use shadows to make your objects stand out. So the lighting is really important. If you're shooting against a bright background, pay attention to how dark the shadows are because it's going to make the object pop. Lastly, try to find objects that are unique, unexpected, or funny. Like when you're eating your cereal, all of a sudden, does it form a letter O? Or when you're lying down in your bed and you look up at the ceiling fan, does that form a letter X? Try not to go with the obvious. Again, one of the ones that I see a lot is two pencils forming the letter X. That's boring. I've seen that about 1,000 times. So pay attention to the world around you, and that's how you're going to find the really good stuff. Okay, these are the tips, and in the next video, I'm going to take you through my house so I can show you the objects that I found. Have a good one. Bye. This geisha looks like a letter I, and the top of her head looks like a colon if you put it sideways. After that, we have this ball with lots of texture. This could be a letter O. My dog has lots of letters hidden in her. For example, her legs could form a Y or a letter V. An L is formed by her head and her legs. Her hind legs have another letter V or a Y, maybe an equal sign. And from above, she could form a letter F. I see a letter V or a letter Y upside down. This is a really good letter J if you shoot sideways. Here we have another letter V. There's lots of letter V's. This is an O or a Q or a P. This is an 8 or a B. Next, we have a letter O or a Y. The door has an equal sign in it. This wrought iron there has lots of letters in it. I see a G or a C. Looking around, there's another letter G or a 6. Let's see, this one could be a letter S if you shot the whole thing, or another letter C, or a J. This makes a really good letter I. Just look around, they're everywhere. This has an M in it, maybe a W. There's lots of letter O's everywhere. This one is a good letter C, another O. O is the most common letter you're going to find. Here I see a letter G or a B or an 8. Next, we see a letter F. And if you get up close, you could see a letter E formed by all the parts. All these tools are great for shapes. I see a letter O on the left and on the right a letter A. And if you go sideways and take a look up close, that could be a number 1. Here we have a letter K or an A or a V. Here I see a letter S and a letter X sideways or an infinity symbol. The drill forms a letter L. Here we have a letter A upside down. I see a letter X, again the V or a Y even, and the hammer forms a very good letter T. This looks like a letter D to me if you shoot it sideways. This looks like a W or a B or even an 8. And it helps to change your angle so that I see a letter C or an O now. Here's the letter U. Okay, this if you change your angle, you're going to get different letters. So in this direction, it looks like an A. Here is a letter T. And of course, the tire is an O. And looking at the bike frame, we get other shapes. For example, here's a letter D going two different ways, or an O. Here we have, not sure what that would be. Maybe another V or a Y if you turn it sideways, or a K. Y. Lots of letter V's in there, or letter O. Ooh, there's an X on the sidewalk. And right there we have a letter M or a W. And if you look at this plant, it has lots of letters in it. Lots of letter V's in here, or letter L, or an equal sign. Here we have a letter U upside down, or an L. A good letter I. I see an M upside down, or a W. And on the side to the left, we have an E. This could be a good letter I. And if you look at the front, it's a good letter O. The chain forms a letter U. And the letter P sideways. If I put both of my feet together, I get a W. And looking at the sidewalk, I see a letter L sideways, or a V. Walking around some more, lots of cracks in the sidewalks. Again, those letter O's are everywhere, but also notice the letter T, the pattern that is formed back there. Looking around the garden, I found these flowers, which could be a W or a B, or even a D. Here's another one. This one's a good letter O or a D. And I'm looking around some more. Let's see, what else do I found in the garden? I found the good letter X right there, or a V. Another letter I. And looking at this, we have J's. And finally, another letter Y or an I.